Hello and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat. Today we're here to talk about Sonia Bompastor being announced as the Chelsea manager. This was announced yesterday. Harry, is it a good appointment?
Of course it is. Yeah, you cannot go wrong when you bring in a manager like Sonia Bompastor. And yes, it is very, very hard to let Emma Hayes go, and watching her in USA training is quite sad. But Sonia Bompastor, incredible appointment by Chelsea. She feels like the only manager that is good enough, is best fitting to replace someone like Emma Hayes. And for Chelsea, I think this was a really, really good deal.
Yeah, I think it really is the perfect Emma Hayes replacement. You're bringing in someone, they're very different management styles, and of course that will take time to adjust to. Bompastor a little less vibrant on the sidelines, shall we say, a little less aggressive in the media. So that's going to be a different style of management, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Bompastor commands respect, not in the same way that Emma Hayes commands respect. You know, Emma Hayes is very vocal, very loud, demands players to be their best. Bompastor just seems to carry herself in a way that means you have to respect her.
Has an aura.
She walks into a room and you go, that's Sonia Bompastor, bloody hell. So I do think that's going to be an adjustment for the Chelsea players, but not necessarily a bad thing. What does Bompastor bring then? Obviously we mentioned there a slightly different style, but what else does she bring that perhaps Hayes didn't have?
I mean, I think it's that, obviously Emma Hayes, incredible legacy and won so many trophies, but if you're looking for a manager who has a knack for winning trophy after trophy after trophy, it's Sonia Bompastor. Doesn't matter who she's up against, you know, what players she's got, she'll always be the favourite to win a trophy due to the way she manages the team. I mean, incredible manager, wealth of experience, and is really going to help, and it's perfect for Chelsea. What's the one thing Chelsea haven't won? The UWCL. What is Sonia Bompastor so good at winning? The UWCL. And there's a reason for that. It's because she is such a good manager, and she's a born winner.
Yeah, I think obviously as well she comes with that playing experience. She knows what it's like to be a player out on the field. I think that's probably why she doesn't shout at her players as much, because she knows what that's like. And yeah, I think that definitely helps. It's something that we sorely lack, I think, is that understanding of what the players want and need. And I think Bompastor will provide that. I think it also helps as she comes into a dressing room where there are already some familiar faces. Kat Macario, she obviously worked with at Olympique Lyonnais. The same with Khadija Buchanan. I wouldn't be surprised to see someone join from Lyon. And if it is going to be someone like Melchi Dumonet, then sign me up immediately. But
we've got enough strikers.
Well, she can play attack midfield or on the wing. They just play her up front because she's very good. But don't sign Diani, though. We don't need any more strikers. But yeah, I think that she is going to be a really good appointment, Bompastor. I hope that she can continue the legacy started by Emma Hayes, and if anything, take us on to new heights. I think she does add a bit more of that presence, but also the fact that she knows how to win titles, she knows how to get it over the line in those big games, especially with Barcelona going through their period of change with Jonathan Giraldez leaving the club. Now, I don't think that's going to have a massive effect. I still think they're the best team in the world, but that is going to have an effect. So I guess there's an opportunity there, and obviously Lyon are going to have to replace Sonia Bompastor, and there's a few rumours over who might go in there, but it definitely feels like Chelsea have got the perfect appointment here. And in a season where there's so much change across Europe, I think Chelsea might be poised to take advantage of that and have a really good go at the UWCL.
Yeah, and I think that's the big one, isn't it? The one thing that Emma Hayes could not win, the one thing that was always just out of her reach was that UWCL. But we know Sonia Bompastor, we know that she has the capabilities to take a team all the way to win the title. And that's a big thing. And for me, that feels more like Chelsea's focus at the moment. Because, obviously, I mean, incredible record domestically, but that European pedigree that Sonia Bompastor brings is absolutely crucial. Yes, I think it will translate to the WSL as well. But I think that the area where we'll see the biggest difference is going to be in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. A bit more of a bigger picture question. Do you think that she could surpass Hayes' legacy, or is that just impossible?
I think it'll be very tough because, yes, Hayes hasn't won the UWCL, but one or two Champions League titles aren't going to knock out Emma Hayes' 6 titles.
Yeah.
Or, ridiculous amount of trophies as well. And I think the problem that Bompastor is going to find is maybe she's a better manager. I think it's pretty close, but I think there's pros and cons to both of them. But the WSL is becoming more competitive now, and so are the other domestic trophies in England. We saw Man United win the FA Cup this year, a side out of the top 3 for the first time in 10
Does that show that's competitive? Or everyone else gave up?
Maybe, who knows. But, look at the WSL title. We haven't seen it be that close in years. We haven't. The Conti Cup goes Arsenal's way again. What a surprise, because they love that thing. But as it gets more competitive in England, I feel like it would have been harder for Hayes to win trophies. Similarly, it's going to be hard for Bompastor to win trophies, because let's be honest, some of those Chelsea titles were a bit easy for Emma Hayes to win. I'm not taking anything away from them, but some of them were easier than others, and I don't think Bompastor's going to get that luxury.
Well, I think I'll be very intrigued to see, obviously, if she wins 5 consecutive quadruples, then suddenly we're talking about it slightly differently. I think the biggest thing is legacy isn't just about titles, and actually I think the reason Hayes is so endeared is because of her personality. The fact that she'll go over and talk to anyone, the fact that she has this real bond and connection with the Kings Meadow crowd, the Stamford Bridge crowd, is something that I don't know if Bompastor can emulate, because she's not as personable, she's not as closely connected. Now, she might become that if she's there for a decade like Hayes was, but I think that's the reason it's impossible to surpass Hayes' legacy, because Hayes took Chelsea from nothing to being the best team in England, being one of the best teams in Europe, and ultimately it's going to be very difficult for Bompastor to surpass that. Now, as I say, if the Chelsea have unprecedented levels of success, that would likely put her in a similar sort of bracket as Hayes. But I do think that personality will be the difference. I think Hayes' personality shines through in everything that she does, and Bompastor slightly more reserved. So. Yeah,
and I think the one thing you can't replicate or replace is what Emma Hayes has done off the pitch for Chelsea and for women's football, and for women's football in England, really. You can't replace the effort that Hayes has put in. Yes, Bompastor might do better on the pitch and might win more trophies, but it's very difficult to replace a character and such a hard worker that is Emma Hayes.
You can't just buy a nice blue jacket and become Emma Hayes, unfortunately.
It was a lovely jacket. I'm going to miss that jacket.
Yeah, I might buy one just so I can feel like Emma Hayes. But let's talk next season. And the big question on everyone's lips, are Chelsea favourites to go and win a 6th consecutive WSL title?
Favourites, yes. Yeah, I think so. I
think that's big in itself, because the appointment was always going to be difficult to find someone who'd come in and immediately make Chelsea favourites again, because there was going to be a period of change there. But I think the fact that Chelsea would already be looking at next campaign as the team that you'd expect to win the title, I think for me that's already a great sign. It's a good appointment.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, how long will it take Chelsea to adjust to Bompastor? If Bompastor comes to WSL and takes to it like a duck to water, Chelsea will once again be leading the WSL and will take the title. Will be favourites, because you're putting a world-class manager coaching world-class players, and I think City will give it a good go. But if Chelsea take a month or two to get going, it proved this season, if you have a bad month, it will have consequences. Arsenal had a bad month, completely out of the title race, and that is the big thing. If Chelsea take time to adjust to Bompastor, then City, Arsenal, whoever can take advantage and could be too far ahead that Chelsea won't catch back up again. And we saw how good City were. If City replicate what they did last season into next season, then Chelsea are going to have to be ready and raring to go from the off, because if they're not, City will take that title.
Yeah, I do think she's helped out by the fact that there are 16 weeks between the appointment and the opening day of the WSL season. So that's a lot of time to work with the side. Now, obviously, they're going to be on holiday in that time, but it's a lot of time to embed your ideas not only into the playing staff, but also into the coaching staff, into other areas of the club, where you can start to build your philosophy and dictate what happens in and around the club and the day-to-day operations. So that's going to be big. I think there's a lot of time. She's also helped out by the fact there is no major international tournament for the women's game this summer. Obviously, we've got the Olympics, but Chelsea don't have too many players heading to that. I think only a very small handful. So that obviously helps as well, because Chelsea are going to have a pre-season which is hopefully as uninterrupted as possible. You think back to the start of this season for Chelsea, they came into it with Sam Kerr being injured, Gura Wrighton being injured, Millie Bright, I think, didn't start the first game of the season. So there was a few players that they didn't have at the start of this campaign. provided Chelsea don't get any fresh injuries in training or in pre-season, Chelsea should be going into the campaign with a fairly solid idea of how they're going to line up. And I think for me that is a really nice thing for Bompastor to have. She's going to have 16 weeks now to get on the training ground, implement her ideas, start to motivate and encourage these players. They're an easy to work with group, I would say, because they're players who you don't really need to motivate. I'm sure they could motivate themselves to go out there and get the job done. So I think she's definitely helped out by all those factors. And for me, I'd make Chelsea favourites for the WSL title once again. I think they are by far and away the strongest side. I think with City potentially losing either Hemp or Kelly or both this summer, that's a big loss. And we're sure probably out until about Christmas time. That's a big loss for them. As for Arsenal, they're losing Vivian Miedemar and there's still a little bit of unknown there. So it definitely feels like Chelsea are the favourites for next year's WSL title. And with Bompastor, I don't think that lessens. If anything, it goes up. I think there's a greater chance Chelsea win it. So that's going to be really interesting to see next season. As a Chelsea fan, I'm very excited about the appointment. I think it's a very, very good move. I highly rate Sonia. So, yeah, welcome to the club. And hopefully we see more success next season.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, very good stuff. That's everything for today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Of course, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Is Sonia Bompastor a good appointment for Chelsea? Could she match or surpass Hayes' legacy? Get all your thoughts down below. Of course, if you haven't watched our video from yesterday, sorry, this is weird timing with this one. We wanted to get a video out to react to the announcement as quickly as possible, so hope you've enjoyed it. But if you didn't see our video from yesterday where we spoke about Vivian Miedemar, that'll be on screen now. We speak about Miedemar, where she's going to go next, why she's leaving Arsenal, all the big questions in the transfer market right now. That's everything from us today. Thank you guys very, very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.